Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here representing Mr. Ripper as always, and today we're going to be exploring a concept that I even haven't explored or even thought of before. Have you ever had a D&D game broken by someone who stayed too in character at the cost of the game? If you have a situation like that, you're more than welcome to share it in the comments below. We will read it and possibly put it in a new video. I pulled it off once. It was a small campaign. My brother and I were the only players. My brother was playing a paladin named Enorian, a local hero who was an established part of the community. His father was the mayor of a sizable township just outside the main city. You know, upstanding, perfectly moral paladin stuff. Boring. My character was a driftless elf, Pandalis, the sole survivor of a long-ago slave raid on a small town. He took up thieving arts at first to make it one more day, entered the criminal underworld where he began to hunt for his friends and family. Eventually, he tracked them all down, and he was the only survivor. That does stuff to a man. Pandalis had just about no moral compass and was a chaotic neutral to end them all. He wasn't inconsistent, and there was an actual morality behind his actions. It was just a blue and orange spectrum. No, I did not borrow that from Mass Effect before you ask. He had a few things that he couldn't abide that by the time this happened the DM knew about. First, that he couldn't stand the thought of a whole town being wiped out. Kill half of it? Too bad. But don't kill them all. And second, don't be a racist. Want to abuse somebody because they're short or fat? How about poor? Well, who's old Pandalis to judge? You want to abuse them because they're a halfling or a dwarf or especially an elf, and Pandalis will do something crazy you won't see coming and won't know how to handle. As I said, these were established character traits for this guy, as were the absolutely bizarre ways he would go about solving problems. We come back to the main city of the province after successfully saving the day in our second session, and the people want to hold a feast in our honor. In fact, they're so impressed that they want to offer Pandalis citizenship, which is a bad idea, so that he doesn't have to leave them. Worse idea, because they love him so much. Those poor fools. And now enter the story's antagonist. We'd heard that the governor had been deposed, and now we met the new guy. The very first thing, and I reiterate, the very first thing he tries to do is squash making my guy a citizen because he's a dirty elf. Nuh-uh, no, Pandalis wasn't going to take that one lying down or sitting down or standing up even, because he wasn't going to take that at all. Before the party scene had even ended, a plan was born. Hey, is the bishop at the party? I asked the DM. The DM is kinda confused, but tells me yes. Does this guy have any obvious signs of his office on him? I ask. He has an ornate rosary signifying his position. It was perfect. Will he be by the governor soon? Talking to him at the moment. I go over and weightily compliment the rosary and then ask if somebody as lowly as I could hold it for a moment. I pass that persuasion check, examine it, and return it. The seeds were planted. A lot of people saw that. Especially the governor. That night, out comes the disguise kit. I look like the governor now, and my disguise skill is high enough, I dumped points into it, that it will pass most examinations. I make a point as I walk down the darkening streets to be seen by everybody. I even salute the guards at the priest's gate and pass a bluff check to get in. I sneak into the bishop's house and steal the rosary, because of course I do. Then I leave, being sure to be seen leaving. Onwards to the castle. Dun 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 dun. I go and try to break into the governor's bedroom, but fail my first and only check of this. The DM seems pleased, because he knew how poorly this was about to go for the campaign, but Pandalis still isn't done. He drops the disguise and finds the head maid on duty. One seduction and a sleep spell later, V5 Mystic Rogue OP. I had both a key to the governor's quarters and an alibi. I deposited the stolen rosary in the governor's room, and that was Act 2. I was, of course, the obvious suspect, but I've got an alibi, and she was quite busy with me all night. I only let one guard know who she was, so as to not have bruised the poor woman's honor. After all, of course, I was busy all night with her, so much so that she passed out in my bed. But I did recall, while taking a break on the balcony, seeing the governor that night, and thinking it's odd that a human as busy as he was to be out at such an hour. And, wouldn't you know it, several guards recall seeing him too. Of course, the bastard denies having anything to do with it, but they still found the stolen goods in his room. And now comes Act 3, Pendalis' speech. You see, by this point, we'd drawn up a crowd, as I'd expected. I now turned to them and said something like, "Look, people, this man is so possessed with his hatred of elves that he would rather frame me for such a horrible act as stealing from a man of God than let me live among you. Oh, my heart breaks that despite all the good I do, I can't even find a place to rest my head. Why would you do something like this, sir? Why?" That was followed by a character witness from an unsuspecting paladin who was also being role-played to the max. Honorian thought Pendalis was a lawful good bard. This was followed by a visit at the gallows, where an angry mob made this story short and antagonist. This was followed by me suggesting that they make Honorian's father the new governor, which, as a popular man with a reputation for being morally upright and just, went off like the maid's dress. Nothing better than to watch your enemies dangle while installing friends in high places. I tend not to think of characters being in character as breaking the game. They certainly derail a game, though, or end it. My story is the latter. This is actually not my story, of course, but a friend of mine's. Some gaming friends of mine were playing a campaign of Call of Cthulhu, which was meant to be a long campaign over many sessions. As Call of Cthulhu is perfectly suited to modern day, they played it with a bit of a twist. Every player was to create a character that was an approximation of themselves in real life, and then play it as if they were actually themselves in character. Good premise, right? Right? I actually kind of like that idea. So the first session started with them going about their daily lives, at their jobs and hobbies. At some point during the first day, they were all supposed to meet up, including the GM, Rob's in-game version of himself. But Rob never showed up, and he wasn't answering his phone. So they shrugged it off, did whatever, and went to bed. Over the next couple of in-game days, they started to get worried that something had happened to Rob, so they went to his apartment. It was trashed. There were signs of violence, and they found some kind of clue which led them on the trail of wherever he had disappeared to. So the party followed the trail and ended up down in a sewer, where they found a huge stone door. On the door were all kinds of eldritch runes and pictographic scenes from horrors beyond this world, devouring people. One of the players, Scott, turned to the rest of the party. So I really love Rob and all, but I think we should probably go home." The rest of the party thought for a moment about what they would do in real life, agreed with Scott, and went home. And that was the end of the campaign. Poor Rob, he's a corpse now somewhere floating in eternity, and everyone's like, nah, screw it, we're out, we're done. The first thing that comes to mind is the vampire launching flaming catapult of what the fuck? Excuse me? We had ourselves a party of 5. Thoradin, the dwarven ranger who multiclassed to artificer. I like you, Thoradin. Kiri, the elf vampire, my character. Desmond, the paladin, who was also a lich. Don't ask, this dude's backstory is more confusing than teenager politics. Now I want to know. Marisu, the Ninetails albino kitsune ninja. Homebrew, I think. Been a minute. And then Chia, the silver dragon who was trapped in her polymorphed form. We're about level 12 by the time this happened. Relationships were established. The elf and the dwarf hated each other. Go figure. The lich and the dragon got into a shouting match, and the kitsune was a lesbian disaster. What the fuck was this guy thinking? I had no idea. Well, he was playing Kitsune. We have some ideas here already. We come to a town that was being destroyed by a bunch of dragons. And our immediate reaction is, let's go kill a dragon. We weren't trying to help them out. We knew we were assholes, but a couple of us were interested in some dragon scale armor. We get to the village and we realize that none of us have ranged weapons to shoot them out of the sky. Chia has a few spells, but not enough to agitate all 7 dragons to come down. We were cocky sons of bitches. Then Kiri and Thoradin and Desmond have an idea. Thoradin begins to build something out of the wreckage of a house with the aid of Desmond and Thoradin's NPC companion, Dusty. Kiri begins using shadow form to teleport around and get people out of dodge. Marisu manages to get one of the dragon's attention, and Chia is trying to negotiate to prevent the monstrosity the elf, dwarf, and lich have come up with. Well, Thoradin and Desmond finish what they're doing. They've built a catapult out of the wreckage of a house, and they're going to put Kiri inside of it since she's the one apparently most aerodynamic, being skinny and a basically black widow with pointy ears, and has the most health points at this moment. Well, Kiri gets in the catapult right as a dragon flies overhead and lights it up. Somehow the catapult still functions, and Kiri, with no eyebrows, goes flying through the air towards a dragon. Kiri and the dragon both roll to see if Kiri hits the dragon. So let me break down the game plan. If Kiri landed, she was going to grab the dragon by the horns, drive it into the ground using Vampire Slam, and slice its wings. Rinse and repeat with the other dragons. That did not happen because the dragon rolled a crit fail and Kiri rolled a nat 20. The DM describes gore and bits of dragon falling from the sky like rain as the vampire goes through the dragon like a bullet and sails right over the castle walls. Well, I guess we can say Kiri's out of action for a bit until she can get back, so I go to refill my drink. Apparently, the vampire bullet managed to get all of the dragon's attentions. And the entire party is each fighting a dragon, and Kiri has 2 coming after her. We're divided, the DM is freaking out because of how many individual battles are going on, and we somehow managed to kill all the dragons. How? Yay! Not yay. It turns out that for the plot to continue, one of the dragons was supposed to survive, as he was the leader of the dragon, flock? Dragon murder? Dragon flock. That dragon was the one that Thoradin and Desmond launched Kiri through like an undead bullet. We literally canceled the entire plot of the campaign from then on, because we thought it would be cool to launch a vampire through the air to see if Kiri's Vampire Slam was stronger than the neck muscles of a dragon. Our DM just walked away. DungeonMaster.exe has stopped working. Just bye. So now someone's saying, ooh, can we shoot a vampire at it? Whenever we meet any kind of large or bigger monster has become a running joke in our campaigns. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, back at it again, checking in after the vid. But before I do, make sure to leave a like, maybe subscribe, and ring that bell. Otherwise, I'm going to have a vampire launched out of a catapult at you. No, I'm just kidding. I would just throw my really crappy dice that never, ever, ever, ever roll 20s at you and force you to use them till the end of time. That's right, the unlucky dice are not out of dice jail yet, but they will be if you don't comment, subscribe, like, and all that good jazz. That said, please do make a comment down below telling us how you may have either derailed or completely broken or shattered a campaign with your in-character antics by refusal to ever break character, because that's an awesome concept and I just love it. Also, if you love me, come say hi, Brian Von VA. I have a website down in the description below. And as always, come over here and let me take a look at you. All of you, boys, girls, everyone and anyone in between. Are you doing okay? You staying hydrated, healthy, happy? I hope so. And if you're not, go ahead and put it in the comments below saying how you're doing. Just a little routine checkup. We care about you. I care about you. And everybody out there, you might make a new friend just by saying hi. Just say hi to the world. You never know what's going to happen. And honestly, all of you matter. So don't hesitate. Just do it. You never know what's going to happen. I love you all. Be safe, be happy. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.